For the Nazis, the answer was disturbingly simple: you remove it. During World War II, in the shadow of Nazi-occupied Europe, the SS carried out one of the most chilling and calculated social experiments in human history: the large-scale abduction and reprogramming of children. Their only crime? Being deemed racially valuable. Between 1941 and 1945, tens of thousands of children, most from Poland, but also from Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and the Soviet Union, were torn from their homes. The SS believed these children carried the traits that could strengthen the so-called Aryan bloodline. In the twisted logic of Nazi racial ideology, they were not victims. They were raw material for the future of the Reich. The selection, the process, was brutally methodical. Children were seized during village raids or after their parents had been deported to camps. Infants were taken from maternity wards. Older children were lured away under false promises of schooling or better living conditions. Once captured, they were subjected to racial examinations. SS officers, trained in Nazi eugenics, would measure their skulls, examine eye and hair color, and even assess facial symmetry. A child's worth was reduced to a checklist of pseudoscientific traits. Those who met the Aryan standard were classified as racially valuable and transported to one of several Lebensborn homes or state-controlled orphanages across Germany. The others, those who failed the racial tests, cried for their parents, or resisted assimilation, were often sent to concentration camps, or simply disappeared from record. Erasing identity. Inside these institutions, the process of Germanization began. It was not enough to take a child from their family. Their entire identity had to be erased. Names were changed to German ones. Records were destroyed. Native languages were forbidden. The goal was complete transformation, to raise these children as Germans who would never remember their origins. A Polish child became Hans. A Russian girl became Ingrid. Their pasts were rewritten, their memories manipulated, and their heritage buried under lies. The Nazi state turned childhood, that universal symbol of innocence, into a battlefield for ideology. The objective was not just cultural assimilation, but biological conquest. To the SS, these children were future citizens of a racially pure empire, to be molded, disciplined, and made loyal to the Führer. The sinister efficiency of the SS behind this operation was a bureaucratic machine fueled by pseudoscience. The SS Race and Settlement Main Office, the same institution that documented ancestry and bloodlines of SS officers, directed these kidnappings. Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, saw children as the key to the Reich's future. In his eyes, blood was not metaphorical. It was a political resource to be managed, purified, and multiplied. To Himmler, every racially pure child born or stolen for the Reich was a victory. Every inferior one eliminated was an act of purification, the Lebensborn vision. But to fully understand this horror, one must look at the Lebensborn program. Literally, fountain of life. Founded in 1935, Lebensborn was presented to the public as a charitable institution, a refuge for unwed mothers, a place to reduce abortion and support childbirth. In truth, it was a state-run breeding and adoption network designed to produce and raise children of pure Aryan descent. The program blurred every moral and familial boundary. Women were chosen not for character, but for ancestry, the color of their hair, the shape of their jaw, the purity of their lineage traced through 4 generations. A single hereditary illness could lead to rejection. They were encouraged, even pressured, to have children with SS men, who were themselves vetted as genetically elite. Many of these men were already married. But the regime saw no conflict, as Himmler coldly declared in 1939. It is not the individual that matters. It is the nation's blood. Mothers as instruments of policy in Lebensborn homes, such as the one at Steinhöring in Bavaria, childbirth was a state event. The mothers were given medical care, privacy, and state protection, not out of compassion, but to ensure the safe delivery of what the SS considered valuable property, the child. Many women entered willingly, devoted believers in Nazi ideology. Others were deceived, told they were entering maternity homes or welfare centers. Some only learned the truth when they were instructed to mate with selected SS officers. Resistance was not tolerated. Those who objected were expelled or marked as politically unreliable. Motherhood, under the Third Reich, was no longer an act of love. It was a function of the state. The woman became a vessel, her body a means to an ideological end. The child she bore was not hers, but the Reich's. In these clinics, the cradle became a symbol of control. Fatherhood by the state fatherhood, too, was transformed into a duty of racial service. Not every man was worthy of fatherhood. Only members of the SS, handpicked by Himmler himself, could participate. The SS, he declared, was the seed of Germany's future. Prospective fathers underwent exhaustive checks, their ancestry traced back to 1750, their health and loyalty evaluated. Even minor non-Aryan ancestry meant exclusion. These men were encouraged, sometimes ordered, to father children with approved women, even outside marriage. The act of reproduction became a state assignment, detached from emotion, family, or faithfulness. The goal was not love, it was legacy. Not affection, but biological duty. Children born through Lebensborn were either raised by their mothers under SS supervision or adopted into SS families. Fathers were rarely involved. Their role ended at conception. The bureaucracy of birth, every Lebensborn home kept meticulous records. The father's SS file, the mother's racial evaluation, the baby's features, measurements, and lineage. Births were registered as triumphs of the Reich, living evidence that ideology could shape biology. From 1935 to 1945, over 20,000 children were born in Lebensborn homes across Germany, Austria, Norway, and occupied France. Thousands more were stolen from Eastern Europe and assimilated into the same system. The line between birth and abduction, between motherhood and manipulation, had been erased. The aftermath, when the war ended, Allied forces uncovered Lebensborn records and began to track down abducted children. What they found was devastating. Many of these children had grown up believing they were German. They spoke only German, bore German names, and had no memory of their biological families. Some were reunited with their parents after years of separation, only to feel alien in their own homes. Others never found their families at all. Their records had been destroyed, their identities rewritten beyond recovery. For many survivors, the psychological scars lasted a lifetime. They had lived inside a lie, raised to believe they were part of a chosen race, only to discover they were victims of one of the most cruel forms of cultural theft in modern history. Some learned the truth only decades later, through post-war archives, or even DNA testing in the 21st century, a forgotten atrocity. The Lebensborn child separation project remains one of the least discussed aspects of the Nazi regime. Unlike the gas chambers or the ghettos, it was not an act of open murder, but an act of quiet annihilation of identity. It was genocide of memory. In the Nazi vision, even children's innocence was not sacred. Every human being was a potential tool, every birth a state resource, every gene a political asset. The Reich sought not just to conquer nations, but to reshape humanity itself. Lessons for the present. The Lebensborn experiment stands as one of history's darkest warnings, proof that when ideology infiltrates biology, and when the state claims ownership over life itself, morality collapses. Himmler's obsession with purity was not just a matter of race. It was about power. Power to define worth. Power to decide who deserves to exist. And that power, once granted, does not stop at the borders of one generation. It reaches forward, rewriting lineage, erasing culture, and severing humanity from its own compassion. Echoes of a stolen past. Today, some of the surviving Lebensborn children are elderly. Many have shared their stories, of fragmented memories, of searching for families, of living between two identities. Their pain is a reminder that war does not only destroy bodies, it destroys belonging. Behind every statistic, every 20,000 births, every tens of thousands abducted, there is a single, terrified child who lost everything, a name, a mother's voice, a place to call home. The Nazis wanted to breed a master race. What they created instead were generations of ghosts, children without pasts, families without children, histories with missing names. The Nuremberg Reckoning. When the Nuremberg trials began in 1945, Allied prosecutors confronted the immense moral wreckage left behind. Chief Prosecutor Robert H. Jackson spoke words that still echo through history. The wrongs we seek to condemn and punish are so calculated and so malignant that civilization cannot survive their repetition. The Lebensborn program was more than a crime. It was a philosophy turned into policy. It showed how easily compassion can be replaced by calculation when ideology masquerades as science. The final reflection. In the end, the tragedy of the Lebensborn children is not just a story about the past. It is a warning for the future. It reminds us that identity is sacred, that every name, every language, every bond between parent and child carries meaning that no state, no ideology, no government has the right to erase. The Nazis tried to manufacture purity, and in doing so, they revealed the deepest impurity of all, the belief that humanity can be engineered. Their attempt to build a perfect race became one of history's most profound lessons in the imperfection and the preciousness of human life. The stolen children of the Third Reich. They were born to mothers turned into instruments, fathered by men reduced to genetic code, and raised in a world that told them who they were, but never who they had been. Their stolen pasts are history's unfinished story, a reminder that the greatest danger lies not in hatred alone, but in the systems that make it seem ordinary.